Not just Darth Maul, but a lot of characters in a lot of franchises. I mean, he was a bad guy in the X-Men. Toad, yes. And he's probably one of the baddest bad guys in the Star Wars universe. A big, warm welcome for Ray Park, ladies and gentlemen.
Some coins. Watch your head.
Way back, way back.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh! Yeah. I got a couple more. Sorry for throwing them. It's not Mardi Gras.
I mean, it doesn't have to be, but.
Watch your eyes. A couple more. Ninja style this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to hurt someone twice. You know I'm a ninja.
Do it.
If I hurt you.
Oh! Way over there.
Oh, I'm rubbish. Thanks for playing. If you come by the table, the kiddos that didn't get any, I'll give you some. I've got some more.
Fine kiddo.
If you're willing to walk up on your knees, maybe that's, you're small enough.
22 push-ups, and I'll give you one.
So those coins are from an upcoming Topps game, right?
Yes, from Topps. They gave me a bunch, and so I to give out. So and here we are. And I forgot I had them this morning until at lunch. And I was like, wait a minute, I feel like I've just been at the casino. They were stacked up in my bag.
Excellent.
Not that I go to casinos.
So, I mean, let's get into it here. I know, I was reading a little bit about you. I know that you started really young in martial arts. It's kind of was your entry into all of this craziness, right? How young were you when you started with martial arts?
My parents said as soon as I was breathing and crawling and was able to do stuff, I'm sure my dad was just, any father would, parent would be like, yeah, my kid was walking before your kid or something. But 7 years old was the first official class I went to. I grew up in Glasgow, Scotland, and thank you. And then at the age of 8, I moved to London, and it was only when we moved then I was introduced to martial arts. My dad wanted me to do Kung Fu. Mm-hmm. He wanted me to do what Bruce Lee was doing, and he was a big fan of Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, and so I was sort of living through, that was passed on to me. Anything sci-fi, anything comic booky or cartoony, that was because of my parents and my uncles. And so I just grew up as that kid into Batman and Spider-Man and the Hulk and G.I. Joe, and Star Wars was the first movie I got to witness on a big screen when I was about 7, 8, and that's when my life changed, because I said I definitely want to do gymnastics. I mean martial arts, but I want to do gymnastics. I want to be like Luke Skywalker. I want to be able to do a handstand with someone on my back. Wow. And do front somersaults. And so Kung Fu kind of had that. It had the gymnastics in it as well.
Yeah, that's. I mean, we're about the same age, and
21, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This year, but to grow up and Star Wars was such a big part of my childhood. Sounds like it was a big part of yours as well. To grow up and get into the point where you're into the movie business and you get that call to say, hey, not only, I mean, you think back to episode 1 when it came out, it was like they're making more Star Wars, and then also to get the call to say, hey, we want to talk to you. What was that experience like to kind of get into that world?
It started with Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I doubled for Raiden on that, It was my apprenticeship into movie making. It was one of those, I was competing, I was representing Great Britain for the Wushu team, I was traveling the world, I was enjoying it, but my goal was to get into film. And I knew if I got into stunts, I'd get into acting. But I wanted to work with Jackie Chan, excuse me, and a lot of the guys who work with Jackie Chan or are part of his team end up being featured, like Cynthia Rothrock, Keith Cook. So I wanted to be like those guys, those martial artists. And so when I was on Mortal Kombat, it kind of introduced me into how films were made. And then after that, you know, there was rumor of a new James Bond being made, and this being made, and Lost in Space. And so all of my friends were qualified stuntmen, but I wasn't a stunt person. And it was made clear to me on Mortal Kombat, you're not a stuntman, so we can't let you do stunts, but we can let you do the martial art fighting. And it was only when we went to Jordan and Thailand that the rules didn't apply there anymore. You know, they can break you in half, chuck you off a building because there's no union out there. And I was grateful for that. I was grateful for almost, you know, dying a couple of times. But I didn't know that. It was only my fellow stunt guys who saved me, going, dude, man, you know.
Yeah, we don't do this stuff because it's going to kill us.
Yeah, it's like because I missed the mat, because nerves, you know, you're at 80-foot temple, you've got like a couple of feet to hit a trampette, and then do a move that I do every day in the gym. But it's a little bit different, 2 in the morning, lots of moths flying around. You're in Ayutthaya, and then you're trying to do a jump and turn and get blasted by Shao Kahn. And of course, you get a little nervous and scared. And I missed the mat because I went off to the side a little bit. But thanks to these great stunt guys, they saved me, you know. And if they weren't, you know, doing their job, I would have probably been dead.
Wow.
But so that kind of gave me a good value on a lot of stuff, and so it taught me a lot. And then so when I got back to London, I was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to go back to teaching martial arts and gymnastics. I've just been given this taste of this fantastic excitement. And teaching martial arts and gymnastics was great, but to actually use it in the movie. And then I got a call from Nick Gillard about coming in. He just said, like, I heard from you from a friend. And so I took all my weapons, I dressed in my team GB tracksuit. Mm-hmm. And I was talking like that back then, you know what I mean? All right? My teeth all crooked and stuff. So I had my portfolio, and this is before, you know, you take your tape or DVD. So I got my portfolio, and he said to me, it was me doing the splits across the chairs that, you know, he said did it for him, you know.
Wow.
And plus talking to him, and then so we got on really well, and he showed me pictures of Darth Maul, and then when I saw the storyboards of Darth Maul, the pictures of him with a double-bladed lightsaber, I just started to come alive with ideas, and so that was the beginning.
Yeah, and that's got to be, I mean, to be in that moment, because like I said, the idea that they were making more Star Wars movies, I think, was exciting for everybody, and then, you know, Darth Maul to be this, you know, he's got Darth in his name. You knew he was going to be a bad guy. You knew he was going to be awesome as soon as you heard the name. What was it like making the movies and getting a chance to interact and kind of watch that movie-making world take place around you?
I saw like a big building site. Yeah, it was kind of because I'd grown up working with my dad. He's an electrician, plumber, been on a building site ever since I was 8. And I was supposed to be an electrician, by the way. And but I left school at a very young age because I didn't have any idea. My dad used to say, you don't like getting your hands dirty. You know, that's why acting suits me. But it was a good skill that I learned from my dad. It's great because it saves on bills at home now, because I can do all the odd jobs. But being on, it was kind of mind-blowing, like, to know that I was on Star Wars and I got picked. And normally, I kind of saw it was, maybe I would get into stunts, because Mortal Kombat was quite a tough one for me, because I wasn't a stunt man. So I knew when Nick said, look, if it doesn't work out, if, you know, they need an actor, stunt man to play the part. And you might get it if you audition, they might like you never know. But if it doesn't work out, I'll bring you on, and you can work with me as part of my team. I knew that wasn't going to happen because I wasn't a stunt man. So officially, in England, you've got to do certain requirements. So I kind of knew, all right, this may not happen. So to actually land the part was mind-blowing. It was the best moment of my life, apart from my kids being born. But moment in my competition life, like competing and being on the floor for 1 minute 20 and doing the best you can do and in the competition. I was on my way to a demo with my teammates, and we were helping open up a youth centre, and I got the call from Rick McCallum on my way. And then I pull over, and all my teammates, they've come from all over England, and they're beeping their horn and go, what's up, what's up? And I'm like, I'm on the phone. And this is before like phones were digital and, you know.
Yeah, you had to stop so you didn't lose the call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it came up unknown, so I knew I had to answer it, because not many people had my number, so I was curious who was calling me, you know? It was like, woo, someone's calling me on my phone. And it was Rick McCallum, and he was the one that gave me the news. And it was the best pep talk I've ever had. And then he said to me, Ray, I want you to scare every child in America and the world. Can you do that for me, Ray? I went, yes, sir. Yeah, I can do that, yeah. But I couldn't, at the time, I was just saying it, but I was a coach and a teacher at the time. So for me to say it was kind of weird, but I just said it because I want the job. Because it didn't relate. I wasn't going, yeah, I can scare them. It was more like, yeah, I can do it, because I'm just saying it because I want it, but I'm excited. So we get to the demo, and normally it's hard doing the wushu routine, you're doing your thing, but I had the best energy of my life. It's like someone gave me a couple of Duracell batteries, and I just kept on going, because I had the biggest secret in the world. I couldn't tell my teammates, and it was like, I wasn't allowed to tell anyone, and I had to swear I wouldn't tell anyone. I told my mum and dad. But being out there and demonstrating was the best, because I was like, why couldn't I do this in competition? You know, it was the best. I had the best energy of my life, knowing I just got the part of it in a Star Wars movie, and this is it. I'm going to follow my dreams. You know, the martial arts paid off.
Yeah, I mean, that's exciting, because it sounds like you were in a position where you were going to be able to do stunts, act. You're kind of in that in between, and here you are. You were hired as an actor who can do all of this stuff that they needed somebody to be able to do.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird, because Mortal Kombat was kind of a real lesson for me. I was on it, and then I had to leave because of rules and stuff. So then, of course, I was upset, crying. I remember the night I cried in my car, and then I couldn't tell my dad, because I left all my kids, you know, that I was teaching, and I had to pass it on to one of my other instructors. But I just had a taste of being part in a movie, and then Robin Shue brought me on, because he knew about the politics of stunts and stuff. He said, I'm bringing you on as part of my team, so you're part of my team. And that's what saved it. So, you know, I love Robin, he's great, and he got me on. And because of Mortal Kombat, I got Star Wars. And for Nick to have belief in me, and George and Rick McCallum, and just be part of it. Of course I wanted to be a Jedi. I always asked, hey, why didn't they bring me on to be a Jedi? You know? But I'm grateful for being Darth Maul, because I didn't understand what being the bad guy with me. I just knew, all right, I'm in a movie, this is going to help me, maybe this is it.
Oh, yeah.
I can go to Hong Kong now, maybe Jackie Chan will employ me. Maybe I can take my shirt off and do box splits and be Van Damme, you know? A kickboxer, you know? Because I love watching Van Damme movies, and so I feel very lucky.
How much of the vision of Darth Maul was kind of brought to you and they said, hey, this is what you want to be able to do? And how much of it was, hey, we've got this guy and he can do all this amazing stuff. Let's make that part of the character. Talk about that process, if you could.
I was 22 when I was on the movie, and being brought up in London, you just keep your mouth shut. You're on a good thing, don't open your mouth and make it fool of yourself. And that's kind of how I was. And so I treated George and Nick like the teachers. And throughout that week of rehearsal, when I was brought in, that was what got me the job as well, because at the end of that week, I was dressed up as Darth Maul. They put a ball cap on me, and we filmed it. It was a test fight. And that was kind of my audition tape. And throughout that week, we kind of played with stuff. And I accidentally showed off, and I would do stuff. Kind of like would fall over by accident, and then flip up and do a spin, you know? And sometimes I did fall over, but I just recovered. And it's from like maybe you're nervous and excited, so I would trip over, and then I would do like a move and get out of it. And that kind of sort of maybe helped to sort of show off some of the, like the butterfly twist and the butterfly. I kind of snuck that in. That was part of my wushu and kung fu. And then once I was on it, it was just a case of playing. And Nick had his vision, Rick and George had their vision, especially George. And Andreas Petrides and I, we would just play around. He was the assistant stunt coordinator. And a lot of the time, we would just goof off. And we were playing Soul Calibur at the time. Does anyone ever remember that game? Yeah. Okay. So we used to like mess around. And Andreas is a phenomenal stunt person. Was in the military. He was the breakdancing kid that I used to watch on TV. And he was one of the reasons why I got into body popping and breakdancing. So we had this instant bond. And so we would goof off, and so we'd reenact the end sequences. You know, when I go, you know, I'm talking about Street Fighter or Tekken, go, better go home to daddy now. You know, yeah. But there's end moves. So we would reenact that and then fight, like you would do with your lightsabers and play around. You know, I've seen you outside. Yeah? Everyone's got their own version of a lightsaber duel. And that's what we did. We were just big kids. Like, what would you do if you did this and did that? Ah, no, you'll get me if you burn me. Ah, I can't do that. Shh. No, I can't do that move. And that's kind of how we did it. And we just goofed off and played around and basically enjoying it.
Yeah, because that was for somebody that grew up on, you know, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, that was very, you know, kind of almost like, I don't know, like sword fighting. To bring in the martial arts aspect of it, I mean, what we saw in Phantom Menace was like mind blown because it was a completely different kind of fighting style.
Because of the original movies, it influenced me on how I was, you know, portraying Darth Maul. But of course, I was trying to get more of my wushu in there. There's other moves that I could do with a lightsaber, but it wasn't within the Star Wars world, and so I respect that. But there's a lot of other flashier stuff. And then there's an old saying in stunt business as well, don't do a trick for a trick or stunt for a stunt just to show off, because it's meaningless. So I respected that too and understood that. So we play around and I go, oh, that's too much. But I remember asking Nick, can I do this? And he goes, look, whatever you want to do for your character, you can do. And that's when I started to spin it up a little bit and started showing off.
Cool. Now, the actual fight sequences, you've got you, a trained martial artist, Ewan McGregor, and Liam Neeson. Walk us through some of that, because I imagine both those guys seem athletic, but they weren't on your level. What's it like to kind of try to work with somebody that you know, that's just kind of an actor as opposed to somebody that can do what you can do?
Well, it's the first time I got to do fight choreography with that sense with lightsabers. On Mortal Kombat, I was fighting with other martial artists, and so we weren't using any weapons. But for Star Wars, it was like my first time doing something for a movie. We have forms in Kung Fu and Wushu that you battle and you do stuff, but it's very different from movie stuff. And so when I got to work, so I was working with the stunt guys, so everything was always energetic, fast, as fast as we can go, you know, because we were challenging ourselves. The tempo was different with the actors, but I preferred it because they were portraying their characters in the fights. So it really helped me portray my character. So it was a different, whereas, you know, we would do parry block, boom, we'd be off and spinning straight into another move. With the actors, it was more, you know, we'd do a bit, and then there would be the beat. And the acting moment. And so it really influenced me, and I picked up on it straight away. It wasn't like, oh, well, they're slow, they're different. I was just like, oh, yeah, I get it. And so it gave me time it wasn't just all about fighting, it was about portraying the character as well. And you and Liam were fantastic.
Yeah, well, because when you are fighting somebody in martial arts who knows you know, you have a routines that you can go through.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're trying to portray that fight between, you know, two characters, it's a little bit different because they're not in sync like two guys who know the same martial arts are. Well,
I trained more with Andreas and Robin in the beginning, and then Ewan and Liam, when they came on board, they knew their fights. It was just a different beat, different tempo at first, and so it was which I liked. It was just different, but I respected that they have their view on the fight as well. They have a say on what they want to do for their characters. And I remember thinking, you know, like, just because we rehearse everything A to Z, doesn't mean we have to go A to Z. If it changes a little bit and adapt for the set and for the surroundings, that's fine. So I learned a lot working on Phantom Menace about that. And it was great working with you and Liam, because they were fun and they enjoyed it. And actually, Liam, you know, he reminded me, because in Wushu we get really low and it's just a natural thing for me to do is hit a horse stance. And he goes like, Ray, I feel really, I'm way up here doing this to you. Yeah? You can imagine, I'm like all the way down going, wow, like this. And he's like, Ray, I feel like I'm doing this, you know? Yeah. And he was funny about it. And I was like, oh yeah, sorry, it's just a habit.
Yeah, because he's a big guy.
Yeah. He goes, I feel silly. You mean that? He goes, I respect what you're doing, but, and I'm like, oh yeah. And it was just a habit, hit it down and get low. And so I just had to adapt a little bit and change it.
And I heard Ewan was really into the fighting throughout the whole Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
What was he like to work with?
He was fun. In the morning, as soon as he got up at 5, in at 5 and 6, he was happy and singing and woo, you know, happy to be there. And it was nice. It was nice for me to just sit. I couldn't talk because I'm getting done up in makeup, but for him, it cheered me up. Yeah.
All right, you brought up the makeup. What was the makeup process like? Because I've got to think that there's part of you that goes, yes, this is my big moment. I'm in a Star Wars movie. This is going to be fantastic. And then you see the character design and you go, no one's going to have any idea that this is me underneath all of this. What was the process like to get all done up as Darth Maul?
I wasn't thinking that. I was just thinking they're going to find out I'm faking this. Because I don't look as handsome as the artist's portrayal of Darth Maul, and I'm like, oh no, what's going on, please? Just, go with it. I didn't have the chiseled jaw. I was 22 and cheekies, and the picture of Darth Maul that Ian McCabe drew was distinguished and cool, and I'm like made up, and I didn't see it. I couldn't see it, and I'm like, okay. And it wasn't until afterwards you watch the movie and I'm signing pictures of myself and I go, wow, and I stare at it and people go, what's up? And I just look at it and go, wow. It's like when I look at photos of Snake Eyes. You don't see it in your eyes, and looking in the mirror, you're looking at the bits like, I look a bit chubby there, I don't look good there, I can't do that there, and you're looking at things you pick up on. And it's when I see it and I go, oh yeah, it does look good in the pictures. And it was when the contact lenses were put in and everything was, and the horns were put on, I still didn't appreciate it because I couldn't see through the lenses until I watched the movie. And I was like, wow, is that me? Wow.
Wow.
But at first I thought I just looked like a big panda, because my eyes were really blue, and the way I talked was a bit more like that back then, So it looked really weird, and I'm like, oh no, they're going to discover I'm just faking this, I'm just going on this, but I wasn't faking it, but
that's had to be a long process too, to say to somebody, we're going to do all this, we're going to paint this up, don't mess it up, now go fight.
Yeah, it wasn't, Paul England did the makeup and he hand brushed me like very intricate, and he loved it. I could see in his eyes when I'm laying back. He really enjoyed it. And a few of the times he would just say, yeah, go to sleep, because I was in at 5 in the morning and I would finish at maybe 11. And so, but I was on a roller coaster. I was like, this is great. Can I just finish at 9 so I can get and do about an hour of gymnastics before I come back in? That's what I wanted to do. When I was on set, I just wanted to get in the gym, do my bit, because rehearsing the fights was great, but I wasn't getting my flying in the air on the trampoline, sort of kind of buzz. And so I would be asleep in the chair, and I'm quite a twitcher if I'm really tired. And I remember him saying to me, at first he was like, yeah, you can sleep, and then I would twitch, and I might twitch from around the eyes and stuff. He goes, Ray, you can't sleep anymore. And then I would forget that the makeup's on, so I'd do this, and I had a habit of doing this when I used to compete. And then he was like, you can't touch your nose anymore. You want to scratch your nose? I'll scratch it. And he was really he was gentleman about it, yeah. But I would forget, you've got to do this, and there was times because I would forget it was on, and even with the horns, I would forget.
Wow. So you do Star Wars. I want to take some time to get into some of the other stuff, because you had your big kind of actor moment in X-Men. You got to be you a little bit more. You get to talk. You see a little bit more of you while you're still kind of doing the acrobatics. Talk about that experience a little bit.
First, I didn't want to be told at first.
Because Wolverine was taken.
At one point, but when they called me in, and Brian Singer called me in, and Tom DeSanto and Kevin Feige, it was Pyro. They're like, we want you to play Pyro. And I knew all the X-Men characters. And I remember thinking, what about like Wolverine, and what about Gambit? And I remember having a meeting with Fox, and she said to me, they're making a Wolverine movie. You should look into that. And then I get a call from the producers saying, you're going to be in LA anytime soon. And I'd never been to LA, and I was at Celebration 1 in Denver. I made every possible opportunity to get to LA straight after that show to meet with them, because they said, hey, we're doing an X-Men movie, we're interested in talking to you. And so they asked me to read for Pyro, and Toad was there. And he was just like in the background, like messing with Sabretooth. And then I was at a Wizard World show in Chicago, my first one. And then they said, look, we want you to be Toad. And I'm like, I don't want to be Toad. You know? Toad, you know, because I remember them being, you know, like for the comics, what I was thinking, prosthetics. You know, I knew straight away that it's all the prosthetics, and I'd been part of that for Baraka in Mortal Kombat, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the whole process of sitting there in the glue and messing up your skin, and that was then. And so Brian said to me, look, Ray, this is an opportunity for you to bring something new to the character. You forget what's in the comics. We want to do something fresh. And what I was worried about, anything mean or looky I did would look like Darth Maul, and I didn't want the fans going, you're just being Darth Maul there. So it was a challenge for me to try and be different. Because, you know, there's only so many mad faces you can do in you know, scary faces, and so I had to portray it in my physical performance. And so I said to Brian, I can do that. Because he wanted me to wear the goggles for the whole fight, for the whole time. And again, I was like, oh, no one's going to see my face. They're not going to know it's me. I'm going to have this whole battle again, trying to get another job. I want to show me. And my agents were like, we're going to show Ray. We want to show Ray. And I was a lot younger back then, so really wet behind the ears. And so Brian listened to it, and I said, look, Brian, I can convince you that I could be menacing and mean without the goggles. And so he was very supportive, and he was a great director to work with as well.
Now, you went on from that to be Snake Eyes. And I remember when I was a kid, like, Snake Eyes was the action figure I wanted to have. That was like my foray, like, you know, you had like the Kung Fu movies and stuff, but you saw Snake Eyes on the G.I. Joe cartoon show, and it was like, that's who I want to be. That's bad. So what was it like to kind of get a chance to really bring all of the martial arts training and everything else to this other awesome, like, iconic role?
Well, a friend of mine who works in press, he said, look, Ray, they're making a Snake Eyes movie. Get your people onto it. Well, I don't have any people. So I'm living in LA, and I look, and I've worked with a few directors, and I look through, and I go, who do I know on a good level, personal friendship level, that I can call in a favor and just say, do you know who's making the Snake Eyes movie or G.I. Joe movie? Just find out who it is so I can audition and send something in there. I just want to audition. So I went out, my wife and I had all ideas. I got my wushu buddy who was living in LA. He was going to be Storm Shadow. We were going to film this little 10-minute piece. It was going to be my audition tape. I had all these ideas. I knew exactly what to do. It was going to be dark. And then, and this is before I sort of, because I wanted to send it and just find out who was doing it. And then I found out who was going to be directing. And then I went out and bought this fantastic camera, but within that week, I get a call saying, they're interested in you, Ray, you know, come in. So I went and met the casting director, and she's like, yeah, talking, and then she gave me a few little secrets. She couldn't tell me too much. So it kept me on the loop a little bit, like I was on the edge. And then Stephen Summers wanted to see me, and then it turned into an audition. So I was recovering from knee surgery, so up until then, I hadn't done any martial arts or anything for about 5 months, because it was taking a lot longer to recover. My son was just born, trying to run around and be daddy and stuff, and you know, it's kind of a bit of a weird time because I couldn't go out too much. So when I got the call to say about doing this audition, I couldn't turn it down. So the whole week, I just went on a kind of meditating week. I've just like cleansed and focused and visualized and prayed and visualized and focused and had my set little routine that I can adapt to without them knowing I had a bad knee. And then I turn up to the audition, and there's a couple other guys there auditioning. And I just got off a plane from a convention. I strapped my knee up, put some Chinese medicine on it, kissed my kids, they waiting outside. I tell you, kids give you superpowers, you know? And walk in there was no pain. I went in competition mode. It was like, poof. And the stunt director was there, and the fire ranger was there, and he said, who wants to go first? I went, me. I'll go first, you know, and because I wanted to show I wanted this thing. Plus, I wanted it outside the other guys that were there, you know. But it was more psyching me up, and all of that worry went away. And it was one of the best auditions I've ever had. I really enjoyed it. And again, I made a few mistakes and showed off, you know. Generally, I did because my knee was bad. But I had to, out of like frustration, I did a butterfly twist and landing, still kept in character. Because Snake Eyes was a character I grew up with as a kid. He was the reason why I wanted to be a commando, and You know, I played with him and had the tanks, and we had Action Man and Action Force in the UK. I wanted to be a ninja, and so it meant a lot for me to do that, to play Snake Eyes. And it meant a lot because I'd been to conventions, and a lot of fans came up to me and said, you know, if they ever do a G.I. Joe movie, you'd be an awesome Snake Eyes. And I go, yeah, you know, yeah. And wouldn't think about it too much. And I think Wizard World called it out and said, Ray Park should be Snake Eyes. And then here I am, I'm auditioning for it. So it meant a lot for me as a person, but as also for the fans. And even when I was on set, I'd be like, no, Snake doesn't do that, you know. Snake would take a bullet to save a Joe when he's fighting Storm, you know. When we're in the pit, there was a lot of moments where I was saying to the stunt guys, no, you got to understand the character. Take it, keep on fighting and take it, you know. And so we had these moments because I was thinking, I got to get this right because I'm going to be doing conventions, and I'm going, Ray, you suck, man. You know, Snake Eyes had to be, you know, had to
Absolutely.
do it.
Yes.
So I hope to do the third one if they ever ask me back. That's why I'm training hard. Just
Excellent.
I want to be Snake Eyes in real life.
Yeah. I mean, you're close. You're close. You just got to get the outfit. You're good. We got about 15 minutes left.
I'm allowed to talk now. It's like, do you know how many conversations I've had in my mask? You know, I remember Stephen Summers like talking, and he's fun to work with. And I'm doing the finger things, walking like this. I walk on my hands, yeah? I used to do that all day long. But on your fingertips, when you're in wires, you're doing it, and it was still hard. And then you're hearing him go, no, and I had to pull a knife and do that thing. You're everywhere. And then I'm hearing him, and I remember just going, rah! It wasn't that rah, it was something else. But I knew they couldn't hear it because I go, get us in there, you know? Because that's me going, geeing myself up. Oh, you know, I don't like messing up. So I'm having this whole conversation. So I talk to myself in the mask. What are you going to do? We're having dinner tonight. All right. Cool. I'm looking over at Cobra's. All right, there. All right. Just look around a bit. Oh, yeah, got it. Oh, yeah? See you. Hello. Let's put my hands on my belt. No, I'm just messing.
All right.
I was being an actor. I was just messing, you know. Trust me, when you're in the suit, it feels good. Even though it's painful, but you feel good. You become that character, you know. It's something about being in the Snake Eyes suit I love.
Oh, yeah. We've got some folks lined up want to do a little Q&A while we've got some time left here.
Yeah, sorry for talking too much. I get so excited, you know. In the back, I was like, have we got time to get everyone up and we'll do something, we'll bust out some moves and stuff, and there's me going, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, buddy. How you doing?
Obviously in episode 1, you die, but because of the Clone Wars, Darth Maul comes back, and currently he is in Star Wars Rebel, but he doesn't refer to himself as Darth. If somehow he miraculously survives Rebels and survives the original trilogy and comes back for, let's say, episode 9, I doubt you'll be in episode 8, do you think he'll be good, neutral, or go back to being Darth?
I've only watched the episode where Ezra goes into temple,
Yeah.
and it seems like he's good, but you can see he's manipulating him, like,
Yeah.
So I've only seen that, because my DVR doesn't keep on recording the other ones I need to see. And I watch it with my kids, and believe me, I get excited when I'm like, yeah, it's Darth Maul, even though it's not my voice. I'm like, yeah. You know, I'm excited to see where he's going, because it'd be nice to play him again. It'd be nice for him. And, you know, I know you're looking at me going, how can he be Darth Maul talking like that? But trust me, if I got asked to do it, it'd be great. It'd be great to, if they wanted me to reference what he is now, I would love to do that. Because in my mind, Darth Maul is the way I played him, you know, there's that history of me, but there's development as well. And so it's great. I love seeing him in Clone Wars. I've always wanted, like, I always fascinate in my mind was, if they asked me back, I'd love to do the whole tattoo effect and show that. Just so it'd be one for me, like, I'd kept this discipline. And it was pretty cool when I saw that image. And so it'd be nice to see him again, you know, and I'm hearing rumors that he is in 8, but it's not with me, or he's not, so you never know. He could come back, so it'd be cool to see.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting so long.
Oh, you're fine, sir.
Sorry.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Just talking too much, apparently.
So Phantom Menace came out when I was in kindergarten, and I can very much well say that you terrified me. Every time you came on screen, I had to leave the room. So like that last battle where like, you know, it went in between like the 4 different battles, it was like I'd stay there for 10 minutes, go away and come back, and it was really difficult, but so my question is actually a lot like his. How do you feel about Sam Witwer's portrayal so far of Maul?
Yeah, great. He's a great actor.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
he
he's
is.
awesome. He's got great voice, and he can do anything. And so I've seen him at quite a few shows, and he's asked me, "What do you think? What do you think of the fights?" I said, "I love it." I've said to him, I would have loved to have seen Darth Maul with a double-bladed lightsaber there. You know, pick it off his brother. God, let me show you. You know, but you know, but I saw Darth Maul back then as a gentleman, a distinguished person, because of that image of Ian McCabe, like this, and so that influenced me in how I was, you know, portraying him. And in the test fight, I didn't show a lot of like this. It was more, you know, when you see the old classical guys and they show no emotion and they're just doing it. It's kind of like that, you know. So yeah, I love what he's done. Sorry.
It's okay. I like
I haven't
it.
had coffee yet.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Not too bad. My question is, so you grew up and you love watching the original Star Wars and stuff like that. What was it like for you getting to be on the set of Fanboys and getting to, you know, work with some of those original characters, Carrie Fisher and Billy D. Williams and stuff like that from the original Star Wars movies?
I didn't get to see those guys when it was my scenes. They brought me in for a few days, and it was really nice and warm that the main actors like were really like over the moon. And I remember there was a flea market next to where we were filming, and we went out and bought kendo sticks, and I was showing the guys how to do moves, you know, outside our trailers, and they were just like mind blown that I was there. So it felt nice. And it was only when Kevin Spacey walked up to me, I was like, "Oh, that's Kevin Spacey." I couldn't say anything. I was so, oh my God, it's Kevin Spacey, you know? And he was like, and as I was, you know, in my element showing off and showing stuff, I didn't know what to say to him. So it was really nice to be on it. And Carl Newman's a friend of mine, and he asked me years before, "I'm going to be doing this movie. Would you want to do a cameo?" I went, "Yeah, no problem. Do it for free." Yeah, I'd love to do it. And then it actually happened. He called me out, and I remember being on set, and I wasn't nervous about anything else apart from meeting Kevin Spacey once. But the big deal was that Carl wanted me to do my famous butterfly twist, but I couldn't bump into Vader in front of me. And I had the 2 nightsticks, and I was like, "Oh, get these out. Better get them out." And was it time to get mauled or something? Or prepared to get mauled. But I had to make sure I nailed this butterfly twist. And I only had from like, say, right here to where you are, ma'am, yeah? And Vader's right there, and I'm like, I can't do that. And everyone's watching, they're waiting, you know? You can hear, and you hear the cameras going, I can't mess this up. But I did it. But the one big thing, I couldn't touch Vader because it was a prop from the 501st. It wasn't part of the crew. And so that was the most scariest part for me. I couldn't mess up the butterfly twist because that's what I'm known for. But it was a lot of fun doing it.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
That guy just stole my thunder for the same question. But my next question is how was Marlon Wayans? Because I really like him as an actor, and I wanted to know, was he that comical on set when you were filming G.I. Joes, or was it just a stunt for everybody
No, he's
else?
funny all the time. Yeah, he's. I liked working with him. He like, I remember him. We were all on the bus together, and we were having firearm training in Sun Valley. Got to shoot some big machine guns and stuff, and because I was a lefty, it kind of worked the opposite way. I had to be, you know, I'd always get the bullets on me because it was the other way. But he was cool, and he was always funny all the time. He was always funny, and I remember him. I've been reading my sides, and we were all together, and I'm reading my lines, and he's like, "Ray, you got no dialogue. You don't have to say anything. You got the easiest job out of all of us." And I said, "Yeah, no, I'm reading what you guys are doing because I want to know where I need to be." And he's like, "Oh yeah." And then Channing made a joke, and you know, Rachel made a joke, but it was just funny because he would always call me Snakey, Snake Eyes, Snakey, you know. So it was pretty cool, you know. It was pretty cool for him to on and off screen. So that's kind of like, yeah, Marlon Wayans said that, man. Yeah. So I love watching him, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's cool.
Hey, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
My name's John. I got the chance to run into you about 20 years ago, right before episode 1 came out, and you were doing a press tour, and I was a college student in Chicago, and we were making a little documentary about the crazy fans who waited in line for about a week for episode 1 to come out. And you were just stopping by, and you were nice enough at the time, I'm sure you don't remember, but you're nice enough to actually let us interview you for our little student class project, which was really nice of you.
Oh, my pleasure.
And so I got this chance to meet you right before the movie came out, and I hadn't seen it yet, and I was like, wow, that Ray Park is a really nice guy. I'm like, I don't know how he's going to play a bad guy in the movie. He's just so friendly and just so nice. And so I was wondering, I'm kind of curious, like, since it's kind of a time capsule now, it's like 20 years later almost, how, you obviously knew Star Wars was going to be huge.
I didn't.
You didn't?
No,
Okay.
it was kind of, I didn't know what to do. I kind of knew and I didn't know. It's one of those weird things, like trying to get work in that 2-hour time frame after we finished filming. There was a time when I was trying to get an agent, so I'm in a new Star Wars movie, and you send your bio 5'9.5", weight 185, and da-da-da-da. And she said, "What, you're an Ewok?" And I'm the new bad guy, but I couldn't tell anyone, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't interrupt you.
Well, no, I was just curious. So, I mean, obviously you were a Star Wars fan growing up and everything. Were you still caught by surprise by some things about the reception to the movie, or just the level of fame and the fact that even now, 20 years later, you've done other great stuff too, but people still know you for Darth Maul? And
No, I love-
did that surprise you?
Yeah, it surprised me. A friend of mine said to me while we were filming, and I always knew my voice was getting dubbed before I got the part, and and it was more about the action for me. And he said, "Oh, you look so cruel and evil until you open your mouth." Because in the ADR, but especially back then, I was 22. I was like, I'm sure it sounds like that now, but I was even more so. Like I would say, "Thanks, yeah, thanks," and talk and that, and you know what I mean? Bish bash bosh. Yes, my master. And so I was like, oh, whatever. And then he said, "You know, you're going to be doing conventions for the rest of your life." And I said, "What's a convention?" He goes, "Oh, you know, Kenny Baker and da-da-da-da." And I was like, what is that? And then I remember getting invited to a couple of conventions. And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do that. That's, you know, what's that all about?" And I went to one, and it was just, whoa, mind-blowing. Like this, your head's going, you know? And I love it. So even to this day, the response that everyone gets and gives me, and even with kids now, the new generation, Darth Maul. And I remember the time when I was worried about the playing Darth Maul, and that call I got saying, "You're going to scare a kid," and I kind of lied because I was teaching kids. And so you're a role model, and you're like, and so I reflected on that. So it's pretty cool now. You can go, yeah, Darth Maul, you know? And so it is kind of cool, and because of the martial arts side and gymnastics side, to sort of help with that character. And if it inspires other people to follow their dreams, you know, and sort of pursue their dreams, then that makes my day.
Thanks. I just want to say that's the best fight in any of the Star Wars movies, is that Darth Maul fight at the end of episode 1.
Thank you.
So fast and so intense.
Thank you.
I think we've got time for like 1 or 2 more questions, because they've got to turn the room. They've got another panel coming up.
Sorry, I talk too much.
I hope,
That's
I
what you
hope
get.
too, because I'm sure the guy behind me
That's
has
what
a
I
better
get for
one.
being a silent ninja.
So, a couple of my questions have already been answered, so here's my lame third question.
It's not lame.
How many of those prop swords did you, Ian, and Liam go through
Oh, we
during
went
your
through
whole
loads.
choreography?
I remember seeing Sanders, the props master. He had his own special cart with orange and green and blue. Yeah, blue. And we were going through them, and one fight, that was it. They were gone. You know, it was like, "Meh." You know? And mine would be like, "Meh," it is. And, you know, so he'd be like, you know, especially when we were doing the beam fight and the end fight, it was like the poles were doing this. You know, it was pretty. They were aluminum poles, so you could still hit them, but we weren't going with force. We were using technique. And Ewan was great. Like when I used to watch myself And Nick would go, "Oh, your feet move so quickly." And I go, what does he mean? I always I always remember what I could have done or what I did. But now I watch Ewan. I watch Liam. I go, "Wow, they're really, you watch Liam, he's doing this." And I'm like, "Whoa, he's really, you know." I didn't appreciate it at the time because I didn't see it. You know, to this day I look and go, "Wow, he worked his butt off."
Thank you.
That's why he killed me. Thank you, buddy.
All right, this will have to be the last one because we've got to turn the room over for our next panel.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm a member of a lightsaber group in Morehead State University, and we do the sabering stuff and hit each other with them, you know, because glow sticks. And a lot of them look up to you as Darth Maul, and I want to know if you would say hi to them.
What's his name?
My name is Robert Wynn.
Hey, Robert. And who plays the Darth Maul? Do you do it?
No, I don't have. I can't bounce around enough. There is another one who does though. Zabrak and everything.
So, hey, guys, may the Force be with you, and stop beating each other up. It's supposed to be pretending. It's Star Wars.
Thank you.
All right, you're going to be here through the weekend. You're going to be down on the floor. There's plenty more opportunity to stop by, say hi, take
Yeah.
pictures, all that
Yeah.
good stuff. How about a round of applause for Ray
Thanks,
Park?
everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
He's not that scary, is he?
You guys are awesome. Thanks for sitting here, being patient, listening to me. May the Force be with you. And yo, Joe!